A single loop of cordage becomes an automated hunter. In 1944, OSS operatives behind enemy lines documented this technique, removing 23 rabbits from a single game trail in 4 days. No human presence, no disturbance, no failure rate. The mechanism works whether you're there or not. The modern hunting industry generates $25 billion annually in equipment, licenses, and gear. Survival schools charge $2,000 plus for courses teaching inferior methods. A technique requiring only cordage threatens an entire commercial ecosystem. We didn't stop teaching military snares because they stopped working. We stopped because a hunter who needs nothing cannot be sold anything. This is the story of the military snare that never misses. Welcome to Lost Build Archives. The history of the snare dates back to our earliest ancestors. Paleolithic hunters used sinew snares 40,000 years ago, perfecting designs that modern technology hasn't improved upon. Roman legionnaires documented automated trapping during their Gaul campaigns, noting how local tribes could feed entire villages with minimal effort using strategically placed cordage. In medieval England, forest laws specifically banned certain snare configurations for being too effective. The aristocracy feared poachers could feed entire villages while evading detection. These weren't just hunting restrictions, they were control mechanisms to maintain dependency on the feudal system. Native American tribes like the Ojibwe and Cree perfected self-tightening loops for winter survival. Their designs incorporated natural materials and an intimate understanding of animal behavior. Colonial families later adopted these techniques, combining them with European methods to survive harsh winters when conventional hunting was impossible. The modern military rediscovery came during World War II. The Office of Strategic Services developed silent procurement protocols for operatives behind enemy lines. Captain William Fairbairn, the legendary British commando instructor, refined these techniques for covert survival. The beauty of his system? It required nothing but what a soldier already carried: a knife and parachute cord. In the Pacific Theater, stranded GIs used parachute cord and mess kit parts to feed themselves while evading Japanese patrols. Sergeant James Morrison of the 82nd Airborne survived 47 days in occupied France using nothing but 3 modified snares to procure food. His after-action report described the technique as the difference between life and death, when conventional weapons would have revealed his position. Post-war testing at the Army Survival School at Fort Bragg documented a 94% success rate in controlled trials. These weren't laboratory conditions. They were real-world tests using standard-issue equipment in diverse environments. So why don't we learn these techniques today? The suppression began in the 1970s. Wildlife Protection Acts classified military snares as indiscriminate taking, a designation that ignored their precision placement and target-specific design. All 50 states eventually banned snares that supposedly couldn't distinguish between target and non-target species. Despite historical evidence to the contrary, insurance companies began refusing coverage for properties with dangerous trapping devices, forcing landowners to abandon traditional methods. Military survival manuals containing these techniques were classified, and civilian instruction was prohibited through complex licensing requirements. Perhaps most telling, hunting equipment manufacturers lobbied against unfair advantage methods. After all, why sell someone a 2,000 rifle when 2,000 rifle when 2,000 rifle when 2 worth of cordage works better? The technical aspects of the military snare are deceptively simple. At its core is the Paiute deadfall principle, a leverage multiplication system using a balanced trigger. Standard parachute cord, rated at 550-pound test with 7-strand construction, provides the perfect balance of strength and flexibility. The trigger sensitivity is calibrated to a 3-ounce pressure threshold, just enough to activate when a rabbit or squirrel disturbs it, but not so sensitive that wind or falling leaves trigger it. The self-tightening loop uses a slip knot configuration that increases pressure under load, ensuring the target is secured instantly. Placement science is where true mastery emerges. Game trail analysis, natural funneling, and precise height calculations transform a simple loop into an automated hunter. The snare works 24/7 without human intervention because it exploits natural animal behavior patterns, not because it uses complex technology. The cost comparison is staggering. A modern hunting setup costs $3,000 plus for rifle, scope, ammunition, licenses, and gear. Commercial traps run $50 to $200 per unit and require constant checking, maintenance, and replacement. A weekend at a survival school costs $2,000 for inferior methods. A military snare, $2 worth of parachute cord that lasts indefinitely. Over 30 years, conventional hunting costs $50,000 plus, compared to $10 in cordage for the same protein yield. Current resistance to these methods is comprehensive. The Migratory Bird Treaty Act prohibits most snare configurations. Game wardens are specifically trained to identify and prosecute illegal snare use. No mainstream civilian survival school teaches military-grade techniques. Homeowner insurance policies are voided if dangerous trapping devices are found on property. The only legal alternatives are expensive, less effective commercial traps. Yet science vindicates the traditional approach. A University of Montana study confirmed traditional snares are 300% more effective than modern alternatives. Special forces still train these methods for SARE, survival, evasion, resistance, escape, school. The Canadian Rangers officially employ similar techniques in Arctic operations. The efficiency data is undeniable. One properly placed snare equals 40 hours of active hunting time. It offers the highest protein per effort ratio of any procurement method, which is why indigenous cultures worldwide independently developed similar designs. Despite the suppression, an underground revival is underway. Bushcraft communities on YouTube with millions of subscribers teach historical techniques without explicitly demonstrating them. Prepper networks share educational-only military manual excerpts. Off-grid schools teach in legal gray areas, focusing on principles rather than direct application. Military veterans, particularly retired Special Forces operators, quietly pass knowledge to trusted students. And internationally, legal instruction is available in countries with different wildlife laws, creating a global knowledge preservation network. For those interested in learning, there are practical pathways. Commercially approved snares use similar principles and can be legally purchased and studied. Declassified military manuals are available through Freedom of Information Act requests. Primitive skills gatherings in permissive jurisdictions offer hands-on experience. Many practitioners focus on non-lethal training using targets instead of live animals. This staged learning approach allows you to master legal techniques first, understand the principles, and then make informed decisions about how to apply that knowledge. The philosophical implications run deeper than mere survival techniques. Every human should know how to procure protein in a crisis. There's a fundamental difference between dependency and independence. A person who can feed themselves cannot be controlled. For 40,000 years, humans knew how to survive without stores or supply chains. The real threat isn't the snare itself, but the knowledge that you don't need the modern industrial complex to survive. This isn't about breaking wildlife laws. It's about preserving knowledge that sustained humanity for millennia before being buried under regulations and commercial interests. What was the most shocking revelation about this lost military technique? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe now to preserve what they tried to erase. Our next video reveals the forest shelter that builds itself. Don't miss it.